Good morning, PTO on Ice crew. Happy Monday. We are hitting it hard. I'm a little early this morning. We got a meeting first thing this morning at 8, and it's a once a month thing. So unfortunately, no way to move it. So apologies for those who were looking for the typical time slot, but I had to jump on a little early. Looks like we've got a couple of early birds this morning, so thank you for being on. I'm going to jump right into it and hit the timer, and we'll get rolling. So good morning. I hope your Monday is off to a good start, and ready to rock and roll. All right, so 15 minutes, seats on the bus. So as I'm sure most everybody has kind of figured out, if you followed all, on the conversation at all, I'm a big Jim Collins fan. So Jim Collins is an author. He writes business books. Probably his two most famous are Good to Great and Great by Choice. I mean, he's got like 4 or 5 of them that are kind of bestsellers, but those two to me are really, really stand out. I really, really like those because they talk a lot about kind of comparative analysis, right? They look at like companies who have been really successful in their space, and then, companies who have been exceptionally successful in their space, and kind of compare the two and sort of contrast them and say, hey, what did this company do right and what did this company not do right? So that's the first thing that I want to kind of dive into is I feel like when we can do that, when we have some ability to compare and say, hey, what did this group do right? Not what did they do wrong, not what did they, screw up. Yes, there's some value in looking at your mistakes, but there's really a lot of value in emulating success and saying, hey, what are the principles that got this group here, and how do we kind of get there? So one of the things that he talks about, which I really, really like, is this idea of getting the right people on the bus, right? So you got to go find the people and get them on the bus. And if you really want to go somewhere, you need the right people. You can't just put everybody on the same bus because it just becomes chaos. And if you can find the right people and get them engaged and get them on your bus, then your likelihood of getting where you need to go is super important. So on the pop health side of the world, that's a very, very incredibly important applied tactic. It's one that it's hard for us to kind of talk about and explain. Even like last night, we were in the first unit of our latest cohort in the applied prevention course, and hat tip to them. I mean, right off the bat, they're going to be a solid group. That made it was very clear in their discussion, going to be a great group. But as we go along, I almost expect that I'll struggle to explain this concept of getting the right folks on the bus. And the reason why is because it sounds so simple, like, oh, just go seek out people and grab them. But there's a nuance. There's a really important little thing of finding those right voices and what they do. So that's kind of the first concept. The second concept that he talks about is getting them in the right seats, right? So even if you've got the greatest team, you've got the right people, but they're in the wrong roles, it's not going to work. It's not going to get you where you want to go, because if you've got the sort of natural navigator and that person is, sitting in the back somewhere, they're not going to be able to shine. They're not going to be able to do what they need to do. So I saw this firsthand this weekend, and that's what kind of made me think about it. So, as most everybody who has followed along knows, I spend a lot of my weekends traveling, chasing kids, So I have 3 kids, all very active. My daughters are very active athletes. So this weekend I found myself down in Virginia, about a 5-hour drive or so south. So beautiful place, beautiful Virginia at an awesome equestrian farm. They were using these fields for rugby pitches, right? So a rugby pitch looks like a soccer field a lot, but obviously we're playing rugby. So my oldest daughter plays rugby at a fairly competitive level. And she's a good athlete. She's only a sophomore. She's playing on a team of seniors. And so, I'm just happy she gets on the field. It's kind of one of those things. But she does. And she's on the field and she's playing well. And she's kind of prototypical for one position. And so that's one of the reasons why I love rugby. And having played the sport a little bit, I know enough about it to be able to say, hey, each body type has its own position. So I really like that about the sport, that you can have little folks and big folks and huge folks and fast folks. But if you get them in the wrong seats, your team is not going to thrive. So to a certain extent, outwardly, this kid is a prototypical scrum half, and you don't have to know a lot about it. Just understand she's small and she's shifty and she's relatively strong and she's fast. So she's kind of prototypical in that spot. And so, the coaches had her there and she played pretty well. But the team just didn't click. And I got to give a lot of credit to the coaches, because they picked up on this and they said, hey, you know what? We've got the right combination of players on the field, but they're just not in the right position. It's not working. So the second game, they switch her and she plays in a different position in this place called fullback and make a couple of switches. They bring the fly half, the scrum half, the fullback to fly half, and the sort of the scrum half where she was out to fullback. None of that has to be important to you if you've never seen the game. If you are interested, anytime, I'm happy to sit down and watch a game with you and try to explain it. Bottom line is that it was a completely different experience. Now, I know my daughter, to the point where the team was making memes about it. My daughter's face must have been shocked when they told us, because this is a tough position. It's a high stakes position. It's usually a position you want one of your more skilled and experienced players back there. You're kind of like the last resort, a little bit like the free safety. But her style would have worked better there, and the coaches recognized it. And they put her there, and they made some switches, and they played awesome. They played lights out, and it was just a great thing to watch. And it really stuck with me, because sometimes I think we fail to do that. We fail to allow ourselves to do that, to build alliances and coalitions, and then when we build those coalitions, put people where they belong or help people to get where they belong. And we almost feel bad about it if we ask someone to change their seat. We almost say, hey, you know what? I know you want to be doing this. I know you think you're going to do this, but it's not right. There's something not quite right there. And so I want to take that and widen it out and zoom it out and talk a little bit about the healthcare system overall, right? And we often are in this spot where we want to talk about the fact that we're in the wrong seat. As conservative care professionals, why are we in the seat that's, you got to travel through 5 seats before you wind up at us? Like that's the wrong seat. We should be on the front end of this thing. We should be the first smiling face you see when you walk onto the healthcare bus. And I think there's something there. But the other side of it, which kind of came out last night in the cohort, but that's not how it currently works. And so even though our energy might be there, and it might make total sense if we ever get there in that seat, we're not currently there. We're just not. And we have to kind of accept that and find a way to either get our butt in the right seat or get the system to re-engineer. And I think the first one is much more likely. So that's kind of the take-home point, right? That's the main thing that I think we all have to understand, is that when we're trying to apply this pop health, right? So this is Monday with pop. This is population health tactics. If we're really going to try to move a population, we're going to try to take them from one group to one place to another place. Like, we've got a herd of people, and we've got to get them over there somehow. There's a couple of things that we've got to do. We have to find those allies and alliances that are going to help us move the herd. That's the people that need to be on our bus. And those people come from all walks of life. They are not healthcare professionals. I'm going to tell you that right off the bat. You don't need a ratio of 5 healthcare professionals to every 100 people in the population. You might need one, but you might need some other allies who bring other skills and talents. Okay? So those folks are critical, because once we bring them in, then we can say, all right, how are we going to actually strategize and move the herd? Some people do it with their voice. Some people are very, very good at getting messages out, and they're very good at kind of getting people thinking. Other people are going to do it with their actions. They're going to say, hey, listen, I don't talk a whole lot, but just watch what I do and do what I do because it works. And there's a lot of people out there doing that. Those are the fitness people, and those are the nutrition people, and all the people that we'd like to emulate. And then they're going to be team builders. They're going to be people who say, hey, listen, I know a lot of people, and I can connect everybody, but I don't know what I'm talking about. I just have relationships. Awesome. If we can do that, if we can think about that, and then design our bus the best way possible, then I think we're going to be in good shape. So let me give you a real-world example of this. In one of our corporate clients, we're wrapping up a 6-week, health challenge. Now, I'm not huge on health challenges, to be honest with you. It's not my first go-to. In fact, I probably won't do it right off the bat, even when companies want to do it as their first thing. The reason why is it just feels contrived until you have the relationships to back it up. So this group, we've been working with them for 1.5 years or more, and they brought it to me and said, hey, we'd like to do something to kind of kickstart the spring, get us in shape a little bit. And so we designed it with this in mind. We said, all right, first thing I need to do is I need these captains, right? I need to know who are going to be on my bus, and I need my allies. So we spent some time. We figured out who it was going to be. We grabbed them. We talked about their specific roles. And even though I was designing this thing, I wasn't necessarily saying I'm doing it all. In fact, there's no way I possibly could. We started to put them in the right seats on the bus. We started to say, hey, you are really, really good at X. I need you to do this. I need you to do that, and so on and so forth. That created a buzz. That creates some generation of some conversation. That takes the entire group, the herd, and starts to get them interested. Now they're talking about it, right? The conversation is happening. And now they're coming to us saying, hey, what's this all about? I heard about it. Well, I can't tell you quite yet. It's not quite there. Great. Build some anticipation. Then we went in, we rolled it out. Okay, it went out well. We explained what it was going to be, how the structure was going to work, the point structures, all this other stuff, details that don't matter. Okay. Bottom line is then it was clear. Now we all had clear marching orders. We're going to try to take this group and we're going to try to push it through that doorway over there. We've got to get everybody to move, knowing full well that not everybody is going to move and not everyone is going to get through the doorway in the amount of time that we have. Okay, that's okay. But we're not going to leave you behind, but we're certainly not going to wait for you. We need the whole group to start moving. Okay. Then we did our thing. We know full well that 2, 3, 4 weeks in, things are going to get a little bit quiet, right? There's going to be a lull. That's just normal. The sheen wears off a little bit. And then we've got to wipe down the windshield and we've got to say, hey, this is where we're going again. Okay, and reiterate, get everybody back on track. And it worked. Well, last week we did kind of the final checkout. Now, to give you some estimation of what's impressive, people who make a 10% body weight change, we know that can have a significant impact on their health. Right? People whose blood sugars stabilize, we know that it can have a significant impact on their future health. So we had people in 6 weeks losing 10% of their body weight. I had guys coming in and 30-pound weight losses from changing their diets. I had people's blood sugars stabilizing, body fats dropping, fitness levels improving. I mean, like all sorts of health changes. Now, what happens when that occurs? Well, on the one hand, it's kind of like, well, yeah, maybe they crash dieted or maybe they just starved themselves. I don't know. We had a very specific thing that they did. But the bottom line is that they saw, if nothing else, they saw that their body can do it. Now, why did it work? It worked because we had the right people on the bus driving this thing, and we had the right people in the right seats. So Allie, who's with me now for another couple of months, she was really doing what she does best. She was keeping people organized and keeping the energy high, talking people through it. Last I checked on the little log of things, someone posted, "Thank you so much, Allie. You were a great coach during this." People are jacked up. They're excited about it. They're excited about their health. Let me make that real clear. These are not people who go to work every day excited about their health typically. They walked away from this excited, knowing the fact that they did this. That it wasn't someone that did it for them. They did it. They're pumped about it. Now, there's going to be a lull. And so we know full well that we'll come back and we'll have to, sort of give a little bit of energy there. But why does all of it work? It's not magic, right? It wasn't like we walked in the door and said, hey, I hate everybody. Guess what? Brand new news. It's amazing. Weight loss is good for you. You should eat better. No, it wasn't anything like that. It worked because we designed it to work. It worked because we knew what needed to be done. We put the right people where they needed to go. We made the switch, right? We said, hey, you know what? We're going to take you out of this position and we're going to put you over here. Yesterday, I know you were a guy in the union. Today, you're a health advocate. I'm gonna deem you that, and I'm gonna give you enough knowledge that you're gonna go and you're gonna talk to your friends. I need you to lead by example. You're going to be the one that gets out there. As soon as I see that you've got the energy, there was one guy, and I'm not going to mention any names. I don't want it to get somehow too close to home. We know that the social media world is small, but one guy he decided this was his time. It was just going to work for him this time, and he started to put some effort into it. I mean, this guy has made a unbelievable change. Well, as soon as we saw he was kind of getting some momentum, we started to feed it back to him. Wow, great job, man. How can we take this and move it in the right direction? How can you inspire your folks? And he did. And I mean, they started rooting for him. Man, you're looking great. It's amazing. You look completely different. Okay? For whatever reason, it was the right time in his life. Bottom line is that any one of us can do this. In my 2 minutes left, there is no rocket science here. There is some science here. Please don't be fooled. It's not like it's just throw stuff at the wall. There is a science. There's a lot of nuance. Those sciences, a lot of those nuances are from the dynamics, the way social dynamics plays out, understanding these ideas and these principles. But it's not rocket science. It's not undoable. Anybody can do it. And so I think the take-home message is this. One, we've got to understand that we are not in the seat on the bus that we want to be in. That's a principle we have to all understand. That our interventions, our approaches are much better, much more effective, much more impactful if we are one of the early seats when you first step on the bus. Okay, we've got to know that. We have to find ways to continue to find ways to weasel ourselves into those front seats somehow. Okay? The second part, in addition to that, in addition to getting in that right seat, okay, we then have to be willing to when it's our time to say, okay, like I need to make sure that I find my allies and my advocates. That being in the front seat doesn't mean we're going to be in all seats. We're not. So give it up. Stop saying like, hey, that's my seat and that's my seat and that's my seat and that's my seat. No. Like pick your seat, do really, really good job at it, and build an alliance and a team around you. And that team does not have to be health professionals. Like let's make that perfectly clear. That the people on the ground, the people who are actually struggling with this, the actual people are the ones who are going to be the ones to take this thing forward and get us pushed through. Like just normal, everyday folks. Because they're the ones who are the buyers of healthcare. They're also the ones who are the ones struggling with the problems. They need this. That's the self-efficacy part of the whole thing. And then in addition to that, right, in addition to getting on the bus, being in the right seats, and then finding our allies and our alliances, people to be on the bus with us, the last piece is we have to be willing to just kind of let the bus roll. And sometimes this thing is going to move. We've got to let it roll, and we're going to take some turns along the way. There's my watch. So those are the next topics. I'll cover those next time maybe. Bottom line is this, okay? Bottom line is this. This thing is moving. The bus is moving. We are trying to get ourselves where we belong, in closer to the front, right? Closer to the first shining, happy, smiling faces that you see. We need everyone to do that. We need everyone to continue to push the message that, listen, we're going to do much better. Our tactics, our approaches, conservative care, exercise, nutrition, sleep, connectedness, all of those things are better on the front end. And when we take care of those things, we get up that stream, we're in the front of the bus, then this bus can drive. Then we can get some momentum. We can make a couple of switches on the field and have completely different results. Completely different results by just a couple of switches on the field. All right, I'm going to leave it there. I'm a little bit over already. Just a quick update for anyone who didn't follow along or maybe aren't on the inside of APHPT. The marathon went. It was brutal. Just had some changes that we had to do. It was not a fun day, but it went. It wasn't quite a marathon. I'll sort of tease it with that. 24 miles, all in the same direction, all looking at the same view. Not my favorite way to travel. Maybe next time. All right. For now, today is Monday. It is Monday. Only Monday. Make it count.